Well, I went completely off.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to an all-new edition of the Sunday Night Sit Down with America's #1 money couple. I'm Talent.
And I'm Ty, and we're from hisandhermoney.com, where we're managing money, marriage, and everything in between. Well, guys, I had an incident this week that I just felt like it was a lesson in it, and I wanted to share. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, so don't judge me, but I just want to kind of share this story because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that has encountered something like this, and I was able to also take some takeaways away from this. So I'm going to name the store, not because, it's like I want them to know what happened, but maybe some of you guys are familiar with this store layout. Maybe you all have one by you, and you can kind of understand the story. So my daughter and I, my youngest, we actually took a trip out because I was looking for some things. And so I was going to a store because I was looking for some things here at our home, and it was connected to a mall. So it was about 45 minutes to almost an hour away from where we live. And I wanted to just kind of hit this store and go home, right? So I can meet my other two kids by the time they get out of school. And so while we were there, my daughter was like, Mom, I want to go in the mall. I want to go in the mall. And I'm like, no, we have, things to do. I just want to get out. And when she said that, I looked out in the mall, and I saw this store called Last Chance. So it's a Nordstrom's store. So if you guys are familiar with this store, they have phenomenal prices. This was probably my second time visiting this store because we don't have one close by us. So when I saw the words Last Chance and big, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going in the mall. Like, we're gonna hit that store up. This store is, again, a Nordstrom store or a Nordstrom's rack store, and they send some of their overstock and things like that there. Like, things are hugely discounted, right? So after I was finished getting my items in the current store that we were in, we walked over to Last Chance. And when we walked over there, now guys, my particular shoe size was blocked off with like a skinny rope on both ends. And I saw two women in the aisle, like putting shoes up and kind of cleaning up. And my particular size shoe is very, very popular, very common. So I just figured, hey, well, maybe somebody really hit this aisle, right? So they're fixing up the shoes. So I kindly asked the lady there, I said, hi, do you know how long you guys are going to be in this aisle? She said, oh, just a few minutes. And so that let me know, okay, we can stay. Let me just walk around and I'll come back. So my daughter and I, we walked around for about 15 minutes, came back to the aisle, and this time it was a third person in the aisle, and it was a gentleman. And I could tell that I believe that they were kind of finishing up, so I was kind of like standing there offside the aisle, but looking, right? I'm looking with my eyes because I'm saying, okay, Ty, when they take the rope off, go straight there to the particular shoes that maybe have caught your eye, look at the price, and if you want to buy it so you can hurry up and get out of here, right? So I'm looking up and down, I'm looking around, looking at the shoes, and where I was standing, there was a pair of shoes at the end of the aisle, right? Kind of like sticking out a little bit. And I just flipped it over to kind of see the price. Why did I do that? The gentleman that was in that aisle went like so disrespectful. He was so disrespectful to me. He wasn't necessarily loud, but you can tell that possibly they've been doing this job for a while. They're probably sick and tired of people, coming in there, and it's a lot of busyness and things like that. So at this point, he was probably like, ma'am, what are you doing here? He walked over, basically took the shoe, flipped over. He said, ma'am, you can't be doing that. And as a matter of fact, you need to keep walking until we open up this aisle, and you can't stand here. When I tell you I was so aggressive, anybody that knows me knows that I don't tend to be
Jesus' little cousin.
Well, I don't tend to be really an aggressive person, right? I'll try to be calm, but at this point, you all, out of nowhere, instantly, my voice escalated, and I said, I'm not going anywhere. Like, who are you talking to? And I said, it's not illegal to look with my eyes. I'm looking up and down here with my eyes. And he was standing there. He was like, well, you can't stand here. It's a fire hazard. And mind you guys, this is my second time at the store. So possibly they do have a rule that maybe you can't stand there because maybe people are going to be lining up and things like that. I don't know. But at that point, it was so aggressive. I told him, I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything wrong. And I'm actually standing on the side of the aisle. And I've been walking around for about 15 to 20 minutes. So at this point, the second lady that was in the aisle, she basically got involved and said her 2 cents. And before I knew it, I said, I'm not even talking to you. And she called for backup. She called for her manager, which was fine. I saw this gentleman. He came over to the aisle, and I said, is that your manager? He said, yes, ma'am. I need to talk to them first. I said, no problem. So he's talking to them, and she has her voice really low, so I can't hear what they're saying. So for all I know, they could have told them that I'm this mad, crazy woman, right? I have no idea what she said to him. He walks over, he was like, ma'am, they're just doing their job. They're doing what they were told by their management. I said, that's not a problem. I said, but I'm not doing anything illegal. She told me to come back in a few minutes, and I actually came back in 15, 20 minutes. And this gentleman basically kind of like was disrespectful with me. And I said, I'm not doing anything wrong. And I said, I don't even live here. First off, I was mad at myself after the whole incident because I'm like, why am I sitting here explaining to them I don't live here? It made me kind of feel like I didn't belong there, right? And so I said, I don't even live here. And I said, I needed to come in, leave out. So I was just looking with my eyes. So as soon as they open, I can go to the pair of shoes that I wanted. Now, guys, please listen to the entire story, right? I know it seems kind of long. I feel like I'm kind of jumping around, but it's a moral out of the story. And I just was like in my head, like, okay, forget it. Like, Ty, calm down. Because at this point, again, my 4-year-old is with me and she sees mommy's not happy, right? So I walk over to the next aisle and I'm there in the next aisle. So I'm waiting, right? And I see another woman come up with her stroller. And the gentleman obviously saw that I was still there. So of course he had to tell her, ma'am, you can't stay there. But the way he said it, he was so polite. He said, ma'am, if you don't mind, could you please just go around? We can't form any lines here or whatnot. And do you not know that woman didn't move? And before I knew it, I said, well, if you would have spoke to me with that amount of courtesy, maybe you would have gotten a different response from me. And next thing I know, their backup was back. The manager was back. This time he's standing by the aisle, like with his arms crossed, because I guess he's probably like, let me just stand here to make sure this girl is not harassing them. But I was a little grieved. I'm like, wow, it was just a difference. I was spoken to differently than others. And then when I looked at the end of that aisle, I saw about 5 women standing in line, waiting to get into the same aisle that I was in.
Right where you were standing.
I was living like the same aisle that like the same pair of shoes, like the same size. They were there, and the gentleman walked down there. He didn't say a word to them. And I walked over and I said to the women, I said, I was told that I can't stand here. You not know those women looked at me like, okay, and like, why are you telling us? They didn't budge. They didn't move. And so when the aisle finally opened, the manager said, ma'am, you can go in the aisle. And I said, obviously, you all are not being consistent across the board because there are other women that are standing, waiting in line when I wasn't even waiting in line. And nobody said anything to them. And he looked at me and he said, it's okay, ma'am. And I said, this is not okay. This is not okay. And so I walked in the aisle, but at this point I was completely vexed. I didn't want to be there. I probably looked at, maybe 10 pair of shoes before I just told my daughter. I did end up buying a pair of shoes. Jessica Simpson shoes, guys. They were really cute. They were like $3.50.
Side note.
Yeah, side note. But they were really cute. But I walked out of there, but I was I was disappointed. I was grieved. I was disappointed at everything. I was disappointed at the fact that I allowed them to get me that upset. I didn't use any words, I didn't curse, guys. I was just, literally what I told you guys is what I said.
Did any of these other women look like you?
No, they did not. So guys, I'm not always quick to sit up here and say, oh, it's because I'm African American or pulling the race card, but I could not help but to notice that there were no other women that were standing in line, waiting in the same shoe aisle that I was waiting to get in that looked just like me. And it hurt me. It hurt me. I got in the car. I'm like, why did I tell them that I don't live here? I made it feel like, I don't belong. Here it is. I'm this African-American woman, beautiful, I might say, with locks.
Listen, I might say it too,
you are. With locks and things like that, but I felt discriminated against. And even the manager, he was an African-American gentleman, but I kind of felt like I wasn't heard. I felt like just because I was loud, I got loud. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was loud because at this point I was angry. And my husband tends to tell me that I'm a loud person. I am loud. I'm loud if I'm excited or I'm loud if I'm angry. And it's hard to kind of tell the difference. But, I was just disappointed. I got in the car. I just felt like my whole day was messed up. I was having a beautiful day with my daughter. We had some other errands to run, and I couldn't even complete those because I just wanted to get home. And I just felt so alone in this situation. I felt like, wow, like this is the world that we're living in. You know what I mean? Then I also looked at myself. I'm like, okay, Ty, you could have handled it differently. Although you felt attacked, although you were not spoken to politely as some of the others, I didn't have to get loud. Maybe I could have just walked out. Maybe I could have asked for a manager, but I kind of felt like I needed to defend myself in front of my daughter, who is also an African-American young girl, and let her know, like, this is not okay. This is not okay. And I don't know. I was just overly disappointed. Overall, I was just disappointed. You all, of course, again, I'm not saying because I'm African American I was treated that way. Because to be honest, those women, I did not see those women at the other end of the aisle until after my incident. But it still showed me that nothing was said to them. But I have encountered, other situations where sometimes I may be shopping, and if someone left maybe their purse in the cart, I've gotten people to look up at me, or they'll grab their cart and pull it a little bit closer. And I feel like sometimes I have to overly show them like, I'm not doing anything, I'm really just shopping, But the reality is, I go through that sometimes, and it's not right, But the other reality is I'm also loved as well too by a lot of people, and so I don't go through it on a common basis. But this particular incident, it just really grieved me. Guys, we want to share this story with you all because it's definitely a lesson in this. It's twofold. Although I didn't understand why that gentleman said what he said to me, he had a reason for saying that, because obviously I did find out that this particular store gets slammed so much. Matter of fact, people fly in from all over the world to come and shop at this store, to buy as much as possible and then to resell it, So this guy was probably just over it, at this point. And I was just somebody else, that encountered him during that day. And maybe he was having a bad day. I don't know. But on the other end, I'm a consumer. I'm somebody that is not aware of the circumstances of this store. This was only my second time visiting this store. And I responded because of the way that I felt like I was treated. So, what do you do in situations like that? How can this make you better? Again, I was grieved. I was doing a lot of praying to God. I said, Lord, show me, help me to guard my heart. Help me to not always, help me to just not have to respond, even though sometimes I feel like I'm being attacked. Maybe that doesn't warrant a certain response from me. Maybe I can just pray for that person. Or, was it a different way that I could have handled this situation? Sure. Looking back, I wish that I did not get upset. I wish that I didn't say, I'm not going anywhere. This is not illegal for me looking. You can't tell me, I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And I stood right there. And then eventually I ended up moving. But maybe I could have just moved to the side and just said, let this pass. Or maybe I could have just said, can I speak with your manager? And maybe the manager, would have heard my heart, would have heard me,
I think that the important takeaway here is, I remember reading in the Bible to where a couple of the disciples were asking God, or asking Jesus, what's the most important commandment? You know what I mean? And his response was love.
Love, yeah.
Love is the most important thing that we need to have in our life. But, however, love is not always hugs and kisses and roses and flowers, right? Because we have an 8-year-old son, and I teach our 8-year-old son how to defend himself. He holds his hands up, I hold my hands up, and he jabs. I teach him how to jab, I teach him how to hook. Why? Because I love him. And there's going to be times where people are going to try to test him and take advantage of him. And my love for him wants him to be able to defend himself in those times.
Yeah.
We don't teach him these things to go and bully others, to take what he's learned from me and to just go randomly swing on people. But because we love him, we teach him that in situations where you are being bullied, or you are being an attempt to be taken advantage of, or you're in danger, this is how you defend yourself. And I think our Father in heaven is no different. He gives us permission because he made us. He understands that part of his makeup in us is emotions. And one of those emotions is anger. And that's why he tells us to be angry, but sin not.
Yeah.
So it's okay when you feel as though you are being discriminated against, or you feel like you're being wronged. In some situations, you have to defend yourself. In other situations, you can take other alternative routes, talk to managers, or try to just turn the other cheek, which is also another biblical reference. But I think that love is applied differently and in different situations. Another aspect of this love is put yourself as the employee of this store. Maybe you are tired of people doing this or doing this. But if you're in the people business, no matter what business you're in, you have to operate as an employee, as a representative of that organization in love. So you need to speak to customers in love. You need to speak to co-workers in love, because everything you do, you're representing not only that company, but if you're a believer, you're representing the kingdom of God. And so it's important for us to just look at the totality of this situation and see where love was missing, because that's what was missing in this equation. And that's why all of these things transpired. And you were discriminated against, bottom line. And we have to be able, we still have biblical grounds to be able to defend ourselves in love.
Yeah, and and I think that's what it was. I think I beat myself up, on the way home as I was driving. There was condemnation because I was angry, but I did not sin. Again, the Bible says you could be angry but sin not. I was upset, and I really felt like if that gentleman would have spoke to me in love, not so aggressive, if he would have just said, "Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. We're almost wrapping up. If you don't mind, can you just, walk over to the next aisle because we can't have anybody standing here because we don't want lines to form." I would have responded differently. I would have understood because his approach would have been more gentle. But his approach was very aggressive because I think that he was just over it at that point, And so I just wish that the situation was different, but it wasn't. As a matter of fact, last week I ran into another situation where I did respond to somebody in love. I was driving. And I came out.
I remember.
Yeah, I came out of the parking lot and I got onto the main road. And I guess the vehicle that was in back of me didn't want me to get on the main road. And he was upset. Like he hit his brakes. He's beeping his horn. He literally comes up in front of me, like hits the brake. So I almost wanted me to hit him, right? And then what happens? We both meet at a red light. So we approached the red light. I turned my head to look at him because I could tell, that he was definitely irate. And I just looked at him and he said, "You idiot." And you know what I did? I didn't say "you idiot" back. I just did my hand as "I'm going to pray for you" and pointed up in heaven. Like I mentioned, I'm going to pray for you. And I pray for God. I pray to God, for him. Because maybe he was having a bad day or maybe he's going through some rough times, And in that incident, I didn't react in rage.
Well, God is so good because he has shielded me from both of these situations.
Yes.
Because he's still working on me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because if somebody does my wife wrong, woo,
show love.
Listen,
show
I'm going to
love.
show love.
Show love.
I'm going to lay hands on them.
Show love. No, you're not.
And,
no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Don't.
But I thank God that I was not present.
Yeah, but.
And that we all learned a lesson from
and
this.
then I just realized, I said, okay, Lord, am I just being tested? Did I pass the test? Did I fail the test? I felt like that particular incident in the store, I kind of felt like I failed a little bit because I just felt like I
disagree.
I know. It was just hard for me because I was upset that I got that upset,
Sin?
No, and then I had this thought. I said, okay, what if somebody knew who you were? You know what I mean? What if they went to your church? Or what if they knew you from his or her money? They weren't aware of this situation or what happened. They just saw that you were upset and that you got loud and you said, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just looking with my eyes," And they would have came on the end of it and saw this reaction but not really know the whole story. All that kind of stuff. I don't know, just different emotions. I'm better now, but there's a lesson in all of this. Definitely show love. God is working on me. I hope he's working on you. I still have a lot of work, to do. And I just have to remain prayerful. Even in these situations, I'm going to be tested again. I'm going to have situations where I'm going to feel like I'm wrong. And every situation does not evoke a response.
True. This one did.
Okay, husband. Okay. All right. So guys, leave us a comment in the comment section below letting us know what happens in a situation where you feel like that maybe you're wrong or maybe somebody didn't speak to you in love or compassion and they were aggressive, and what were the lessons learned out of that? Definitely want to know, definitely want to learn from that. But remember guys, always speak in love, always speak in kind, because depending on your response, it can evoke either a soft response or soft answer or something harsh. So always think before you speak. That's something that I'm working on. Thinking before I speak. How does this sound when it comes out? Will the person understand it? Will it be perceived differently? Or is there something else that I could have done differently? So I'm always trying to learn. We're always trying to learn. We're always trying to become better. And we're not perfect. We're humans. We're flawed. We're in need of God, and so he's working on us, okay? So please pray for us, guys, and we're going to pray for you. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget, visit us over at our website at hisandhermoney.com and meet us back here next Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time where you will see the both of us share with you.
That's all we got for this time, guys. It's been great. Until next time. Peace.
Bye.